My country people wanna see government. Now this government now will be saying one can wipe commots. Wanna see $1.2 million. They better talk These people they are joke like seriously. They be joke. I be more gonna watch.
Lifted to Nigeria suddenly stopped. Well, according to one of the students, the drivers of the buses refused to continue on the journey because they were not paid. The students were allegedly stranded in the desert with no security for over 5 hours.
Before we started this journey, we have to go on several fighting. Can you imagine that we are stuck in this desert for 5 hours? Like we don't know the situation we have. We don't have water. Our money has finished. Can you imagine? And they said the vehicle drivers, they said they are not moving their bus. They said they are not moving their buses because they don't give them money. Which type of attitude is this one? Look at this place. We're stuck in desert. We don't even have compass. We don't know the way we are. We don't know the place we are. Everything has finished. We are done. We don't have anything. We don't have anything. We don't have bus. We don't have anything. We don't have compass. Even now our location. We're in an unknown environment with a very big danger.
And this is outrageous. Well, the chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Adabiri, swiftly responded to that viral video, stating that the evacuation process was a tedious one and that challenges were expected, adding that the government is in touch with the students and that the relevant agencies would resolve the situation. Well, taking to Twitter, Abike wrote, "I have just spoken to Naima, Nigeria. He confirmed the buses have continued their journey and said whatever issues have been resolved." Well, another Instagram user, I believe the person claimed to be a student, immediately debunked her claims and called her a liar. He wrote, "You're a liar. They continued because the students gave their passports to the drivers until the payment has been made." I mean, Rufai, this is quite a... Well, we have seen evacuations across, different countries. Why Nigeria? What is really going on here? That was ridiculous. I mean, at first I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was a real video until she responded to that video. Why on earth would this happen?
You see, yesterday, Ayo, you were not around when this issue was raised. I remember what I said. I said it's not supposed to be a big deal, but because of the lack of trust and the public distrust the public has, we have a right to be able to question that $1.2 million. You see, like I was a prophet, I knew something was going to happen. You see, I don't know why Nigerian matter will always have K-leg. The leg is not always straight. This was not a big deal. It was just an evacuation. If you had contacted the transport company for the 40 buses, you should be able to negotiate with them. And then midway, the drivers held the people to ransom. That was holding to ransom. In the middle of nowhere, 4 to 5 hours, that was holding them to ransom. The other question you also asked, would like to ask Neymar, is the fact that in the first batch of buses, didn't they have representatives to follow them? So that in a case where the driver was going to do this, they were going to negotiate with them and say, keep going. How was the money spent? Who was the money given to? We will always mock ourselves one way or the other.
Remember yesterday, we said the same thing here.
We know evacuations are a big deal, but you see, the truth is, when you see a case of evacuation and it's something as petty as money and accountability that is causing the discrepancy, and it's very bad. To the extent that the driver had to get a shorty by collecting the passport, allegedly. By this person. And there was another student interviewed yesterday that said they are even making alternative arrangements, that at a point they couldn't even get the logistics right, and they were first saying state by state basis you enter the bus, but it got to a stage it was survival of the fittest, quoting that student again, allegedly. Then you know it's all bad. Then the comparison in balancing what's happening in Britain. At least, Britain has dropped the ball too in its own evacuation. America dropped the ball in evacuation in Afghanistan. Yes. But at least we didn't hear that somebody was not paid money. So it is the pettiness of the Nigerian case allow this national shame to continue. So we must ask questions. Who was the money given to? who procured those buses? The deal not finally sealed that it took the drivers to get midway before they endangered the lives of these people? It was a worse than anything that have happened.
Absolutely. We talked about the amount. Wasn't it? They said 1.2 million.
They said 1.2 million. We saw a voucher at which through Jai's Bank where they paid 150 million. What happened? Exactly. We must be able to get to the root of this matter. This matter is not supposed to be a big, because what happened there is a national embarrassment. And you see, I'm happy that Madam Abike confirmed it, that it happened actually. Because some people will have quickly said, oh, the video is fake news. Some people, the enemies of government. And when we criticize, they say, hey, we want our country to do well. But the shame is already on us.
Yes. I mean, like you were saying, Abike actually posted a video on Thursday while, she was giving updates on the evacuation process. She stated that the students were being organized into buses according to their state of origin. That caused a lot of uproar. I mean, where is that video if you can have it? But I'll take a tweet from Damien, who was actually upset. He wrote, I'm confused here. Can someone please explain how conveying Nigerian students on the basis of their state of origin make things easy? I'll take another tweet from IPC Justice. They wrote, in a time when national unity and cohesion are paramount for the growth and development of Nigeria, it is important to prioritize language and actions that promote inclusivity and togetherness. The use of state of origin as a means of organizing people can be divisive, and it is not reflective of our shared identity as Nigerians. Instead, we should focus on using state of residence as a more accurate way of identifying individuals and their needs, regardless of their place of birth. Let us work towards a Nigeria that is united in purpose and focused on the betterment of all its citizens. Ayo, I mean, look at this. This is state of origin at this point. Is this what we should be discussing here?
So I totally agree with IPC in his tweets or her tweets, whoever the person is, in terms of, I'm trying very hard to rationalize the use of state of origin as a means of organization. Obviously, beyond, if we wanted to, okay, for the sake of argument, wonder what's happening in Sudan and Nigerians plan to evacuate its citizens, you would say, okay, where has the $1.2 million gone? But also it's a clear case of management and bad administration and management. So let's say the money is somewhere sitting with the Nigerian embassy in Sudan. I reached out to one of the students who had spoken on Twitter yesterday just to verify some of the stories. And they said that what we had been promised were about 40 or 50 buses. He said 50 buses. Faz just mentioned 40. But I'll just go with his accounts. That out of those 50 buses, only 10 buses were made available. Why couldn't they get the 50 buses?
Jeffrey Onyema said 40 buses.
So 40 buses. Why couldn't they get the 40 buses? Why could they get only 10? Beyond the 10, because remember that we're already starting late. So time is not on our side. Other countries have gotten in there and done what they had to do. Beyond that was also just to verify that indeed the students had to stop midway because they didn't pay the drivers. What happened? If the money was released to the Nigerian embassy in Sudan, then someone somewhere, let's say they didn't take the money, but they didn't let the money get to the people and it endangered the lives of the citizens of Nigeria. Now, in terms of the state of origin, why not their residents? Okay, let's say they want to take the buses to maybe one bus to Lagos, one bus to the south, one bus to the east, one bus to the north. If I'm from my state of origin, let's say it's from Edo State, but I live in Lagos, how does that apply? So there's no rationale justification, we're trying to think, and there's no explanation yet from the NIDCOM boss, from NIMA, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as to why state of origin, and with the temperature, with regards to ethnicity, which we're still trying to deal with, it doesn't speak well at all.
Absolutely.
I hope they can give a good explanation as to why this was the choice of use.
Absolutely. Well, Abike, while giving a briefing at the presidential villa on Thursday, said that the first set of Nigerian evacuees from Sudan are expected to arrive in Nigeria on Friday. She also stated that 13 buses had departed from 2 universities in Khartoum, carrying Nigerian students to Aswan border in Egypt, where they will be airlifted to Nigeria.
Air peace, every other thing being the same, should depart this evening to go to Aswan, and we're hoping that by tomorrow, every other thing being the same, by Friday, we should be able to have in the first set of evacuees arrive in Nigeria. Because there's a little challenge now. People are not coming. People who never registered are now just rushing to say we want to go. And a lot of them have settled there doing their businesses. A lot of them are businessmen there. And a lot of students, of course, you know. And at this point in time, we're dealing with 5,500 students. Now, that is not the population. Some people are mixing it up. That is the number of students studying there. But in terms of Nigerians in Sudan, they run into millions. And I'm talking of, from what we have, almost 3 million.
Dr. Abati, over to you on all of the stories.
One thing that we can ask for is that this ongoing process of evacuation, they need to explain more, either from the NEMA side or from the Diaspora Commission side. And it's good that Abike Adabiri has been speaking and giving explanations, and more explanations should be given. Because, look, we're in a conflict situation. The ceasefire has ended. There's so much confusion. Earlier on, before you joined us, I said, look, even the British, they have issues. Is it the health secretary also? You know, they are criticizing the minister in charge on the grounds that NHS doctors that do not have British nationality, they are stranded in Sudan. And they are saying, how do you leave some people behind and you take some people? And the only explanation that is given is that it's a complex operation. Let's get the British nationals out first, and then we can worry about others. So for many countries, there are complexities that they have to deal with. But as Nigerians, we should ask for openness, transparency.
Absolutely.
That's number one. Number two is the point that the state of origin matter that you brought up. Well, why would state of origin be an issue? The Minister of Foreign Affairs, when he was interviewed by Arise TV, said that every Nigerian life is important.
Absolutely.
And that is what, we're banking on. Anybody that is a Nigerian that, needs help should be helped out of that crisis situation so that that person is not stranded. Again, that's where we need an explanation.
Yes.
The reference to state of origin, is it just for documentation purposes? Because it cannot be for discrimination purposes. Because Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution does not allow you, whether a government official or whatever,
Absolutely.
to discriminate against the people of Nigeria. So don't let us jump and say, oh, this is the reason why they're asking for state of origin. They need to explain. The third point is that, yes, 40 buses, according to Abike Adabiri, were, mobilized. Then 13 of those buses moved yesterday, as she pointed out, towards the Egyptian border. And we were told that airpeace had been, engaged, with airpeace offering to do it free of charge to bring 1,500 Nigerians home, and that they will arrive today, Friday. Now, apart from those 1,500, there are others that will still be there. Every effort should also be made
Absolutely.
to bring them back home. And we don't want to hear that, logistics that would, affect the buses somewhere in the middle of the desert.
Unacceptable.
If the issue is payment, one explanation that they will probably give is that in Nigeria, the processing of payments, with government, it has to take time. I'm not sure the Ministry of Finance of Nigeria has already paid the Edo State government the money that they use, that they mobilize for a national sports festival. The story you hear every time is that, Ministry of Finance has not processed the payment. But this is a crisis situation. This is an emergency situation. So they can't come and tell us that it's because Ministry of Finance has not released money. No, that will not be it, because it's an emergency rescue operation. And the best way to deepen citizen diplomacy is to build confidence in every Nigerian that wherever you may be in distress, anywhere in the world, your country will come for you and rescue you.
Well said, Dr. Abati. We'll take another story. The Supreme Court on Thursday granted leave to the federal government to bring 9 new grounds of appeal against the release of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The ruling was given by a 5-member panel. The Apex Court also granted leave to the federal government to include these 9 new grounds as part of its amended notice of appeal dated 28 October 2022. During the resumed hearing, Michael Zokome, counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, informed the court of his motion seeking for bail for his client and another seeking for his transfer to the Kuje Correctional Facility to get proper medical attention, citing his failing health in the custody of the Department of State Services.
Everything, as all the delays, both at the Federal High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, have always been actuated and activated and propelled and instigated by the federal government, because they never wanted Nnamdi Kanu to be tried. They never wanted the appeals to be heard. They are satisfied with simply keeping Nnamdi Kanu perpetually in the gulag. That's all they have been doing. And to buttress what I'm saying, only last night, yesterday, one at 2:39 p.m. and last night at 6:25 p.m., they served us further documents, further court processes, which have again necessitating us today taking an adjournment. But in order not to fall into their cheap trap and to escape their cheap entrapment, what we have done today is to say all those funny and phony motions you are filing, we want extension of time.
Well, in another development, the indigenous peoples of Biafra have criticized President Muhammadu Buhari over his recent comments on the remission, asking Nigerians to forgive him in any way he has wronged them, while reacting to the statement issued on Wednesday. Emma Powerful, the spokesperson for IPOB, says Buhari's sins are unforgivable. The indigenous group of Biafra alleged that many IPOB members have been killed under Buhari's administration, while over 2,523 innocent citizens in the southeast have been illegally detained, further asking the president to release the leader of their group, Nnamdi Kanu. Well, I mean, this is the situation right now with Nnamdi Kanu, Rufai. I mean, I thought that, what can we say about detention and the DSS?
Okay, two parts to it. Number one, I do not support people inciting violence in the country. But when you go back and look at all of this agitation, it starts by the marginalization of the Igbos. And we can't deny that fact. We had another taste of it during the elections in Lagos. But I do not support Nnamdi Kanu, while he was away, while John Bail, inciting violence. But secondly, for you to build a country, there must be rule of law. The court, the appeal court, has said, let this man be. But you violated the appeal court. And when President Buhari says, forgive me all my sins, but he's violated the courts. Like somebody asked this morning, at least he must be able to even tell us what are his sins in the first place before he tells us to forgive him. One of them will be violating court order. Remember how even the Supreme Court kicked against him.
Absolutely.
And violated court order. Now the federal government has detained him because they want to press more charges. Yes, you want to press more charges, but at least did you respect the same courts that you're going to press more charges for?
It won't be correct to say the president violated the courts. The court ruled in October 2022 that the terrorism charge should be struck out, that also the extradition was illegal. But what the federal government did was that the federal government went straight to the Court of Appeal, to the Supreme Court, where they filed a stay of execution and also filed an application to amend the charges. So the federal government followed the process. But this is a very sensitive matter. It's also very political.
Absolutely.
Now that the matter is before the Supreme Court, which is the apex court, the latest development is that, the amended charges will now be allowed by the court.
Yes.
However, Michael Zekome, SAN, is insisting that his client should be granted bail, and that he should also be moved from where he is to the Kuje Correctional Facility, where he can get better care.
The health.
Those are the two issues.
Yeah, those are the
table.
issues, correct.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.